All right, you guys. Sick Podcast Amble Show out here at training camp with a super special guest, Mr. Chris Ballard. Chris, how are you?
Awesome, good. Thanks for having me. Nice early morning, ready to get started today.
Appreciate it. And if you guys don't know Chris Johnson from the Horseshoe Mob, you was Spellman the other day when I was talking to him.
You gotta get his name right. At least you got the Chris right.
Yeah, Chris and Chris, you can't go wrong there.
We're a dynamic duo right now, so you know what I mean?
All right, you want to start your first question?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
with you.
thank y'all.
Now we know that you've mentioned in the past that the clock doesn't start until you draft a QB.
Yep.
And even though AR didn't really play his full season last year, we're now in year 2. What is the thought process for the team this year as opposed to last year after seeing what you were able to do with just having Gardner Minshew under center?
Yeah, well, look, I thought Shane and the staff did a tremendous job adjusting, which, look, things happen during a season. I mean, and you got to be able to adjust. Like, nobody really cares. The season doesn't stop when you lose a player, so you got to continue to figure out ways to win games. And look, there's a way to win every game with whoever you have playing. And it's our job as a coaching staff and scouting staff to figure out how to win that game. But no, the expectations here is that we think we got a really good football team. We got some spots where we're really young, but that's okay. They'll grow up fast, and we think we'll be in the mix.
All right, thank you for that.
All right, and before we get into my question, I brought a new shirt for you.
Attaboy.
One that you might be able to wear. I don't know if you recognize that symbol.
Oh yeah.
Or that logo.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
And my claim to fame is we've got the only tailgating vehicle that's been christened by our team's GM.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Daniel and Liz came up with that design.
Thank you.
So we'll
awesome.
pass that on to you.
Thank you.
And now my question is, we all know most players have a pregame ritual. They do this, they do that. Do you have a pregame ritual? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I like to stay out of the way on game day. I mean, that's kind of when it's the coaches and players' day. But, like, I love to wander around the stadium. I like to look at our fans. I kind of take it all in. Game day is a special moment for everybody involved, not just the organization, but the fans. And at the end of the day, what we do is for the fans, and it is entertainment. And I love to walk around and see all our fans, see the smiles on their face, visit with them, and I'll visit with a lot of them on game day. So that's one of the real joys that I get out of this. And it's even when things are not going well, or we're doing great, I will still get out there. I still wander. I like to walk around and visit, and it's one of the real joys for me.
That's awesome, because that's how I got to meet you, because you was out wandering around and took a picture,
Yeah.
threw you my card, and history's history.
Yeah.
Now, if I can start a new game day ritual with you, if it's possible, but we're permanent in Touchdown Town now with the Blue Crew.
Oh, good for
So
y'all.
we're gonna have the RV and the anvil out there. So if you want to start a new ritual and you come out and get the anvil before the game, you're more
At
welcome,
some
sir.
point, I'll try to make it out this year.
All right, open
Yeah.
invitation. Chris, your next question, sir.
Yeah. So I was here on Thursday, so had the chance to see some guys. So we know, Titus Leo healthy. We got a chance to see Ogletree, like a lot of those guys back healthy that had some injuries last year. With the team back to what seems like almost 100% health. We know the team has the capability to do a lot better than they did last year, especially when they're at full power. So with that being said, what are the areas you think, even with everybody being 100%, that you think still could possibly need improvement, or that you see improvement in?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, our young secondary is one area that we've got a real eye on. We got a bunch of young players back there. We got proven ones with Julian Blackman and Kenny Moore. I mean, they're mainstays and have made a lot of big plays for us over the years and played really good football. I thought last year even the young corners did some really good things, but they were young corners, and we expect them to take another step. The battle at safety, who's going to be the free between Thomas and Cross and Harrison. those are really the main on defense. That's the area that we're really trying to, hone in on, see who our guys are going to be. Not necessarily, it could go into the season. You never know. I mean, I always say the first month you're still trying to figure out who you are, as you go through this thing. And then all our young players that we've drafted over the last few years, Latu, getting him, ready to go. We like what we see, but we haven't had the pads on yet, but we think he's going to be an excellent player. Getting A.D. Mitchell ready to play, our young O-lineman. So those are areas that, we have our eye on.
Now, a follow-up question with that: how big is getting Flowers back on the field?
That's good.
Going to help with this young backfield.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up because we thought Dallas really, going into his third year, we thought he was starting to really play good football last year, before he tore his Achilles. So it's good to have him back. During OTAs, he was working himself back in. I mean, anytime you come off a major injury, there's a little bit of an acclimation period getting back into it, which OTAs, but we thought he had a good first day out here. It'd be fun to watch him get back in the mix and compete too.
Awesome. Now, my next question is, can you tell a story about a time when you had to overcome a significant challenge or setback in your career, and how'd you overcome it?
Well,
you can pick one. If it's anything like my career, there's multiple examples.
Here's what I will say. I was, when I got done at University of Wisconsin, I wanted to get back down south. And I started out, at a little junior high in Hitchcock, and then went to A&M Kingsville, which was a great Division II school. And we won a lot of games and had a lot of NFL players at that time. And then 11 years as an area scout with the Bears before I became the pro director. So, I mean, I've always kind of looked at, like, whatever role I was in, I wanted to be the best I could be in that role. And it didn't matter what level of the organization it was in. And I thought that perseverance and patience has kind of guided me where I am today, and also kind of guided a little bit of my mentality where, I don't get too high or low. Game day I do, but on the other 6 days of the week I don't. I don't get too high or low, and I've always figured that things are going to work out. We will find an answer to get things done.
Fantastic. Chris, you got one more?
Yeah, and this is more along the lines of what you were just talking about with your career, because we all know it's just like you started out as a coach.
Yep.
And then you've built yourself up to where you are now as a GM. How much of your experience as a coach goes into the draft, goes into your approach to free agency, goes into how you evaluate players?
That's a good question. I think it is especially helpful early, and it's still helpful because I understand. Now, look, I haven't coached in a long time, but I did coach for 7 years. And when I first started out scouting, to be able to speak coaches' languages really gave me a kind of a leg up, especially when I went into colleges and then when I was talking to our coaching staff in-house, because it wasn't coming from a place that I didn't understand where they were coming from. And I've always kept in the back of my mind, because I coached, okay, I was in that room handling these players. What would I want as a coach when I'm coaching these players? Like, if you give a coach a high maintenance, selfish guy, that every day having to go into that room and coach him makes it very difficult on that, not only the players in that room, but that coach. We can't ask them to be, Superman. So we got to get the right type of players for them that want to get better, that want to learn, that want to be good teammates. Look, none of them, they're young kids and they all got a little growth to do. But that perspective, because I coached, I think has always been helpful.
All right, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, we got a question for you from around the world.
Yep.
And if you remember Clyde, he's still active duty Air Force.
Yeah.
He's deployed right now.
Oh, man, Clyde, hey, thinking about you, brother.
Well, you go think real quick, because he sent a question.
Hey Chris, sorry I can't make it this year. It's unfortunate. Serving my last deployment here. So I would say to you this year, you always build competition, and I feel like you've done a great job of that. So my question is, which room do you feel you're going going to have to make the hardest decision when you have to make cuts this year? That's a question that everybody is asking and wondering, but I'm going to say I think it's the tight end room, but we're going to let you answer that for everybody. So again, thank you for having us. Wish I could be there. Shout out to the Sick Podcast Amble Show.
Thank you, Clyde. That was an excellent question. So I agree with the tight end room. There's going to be some difficult cuts there. I think if you look at every room, O-line and D-line especially, there's a lot of depth. And I was telling our guys the other day, I mean, look, it's early, but we're going to have some really difficult decisions when we have to cut down at the O-line. Do we keep 9 or 10 or 11 D linemen? Do we keep 9, 10, 11 O linemen? Those are not going to be easy decisions to make because I think we really got probably the best depth since we've been here at both of those positions. The tight end room that Clyde mentioned, he's right. There are going to be some difficult decisions, and they all got a little different skill set, between Mo and Ogletree kind of being our wide tight ends, with Tomlinson kind of, the vet that's been around, to Woods, Granson, Mallory, who I thought Mallory had an unbelievable OTAs. So there's going to be some tough decisions that have to be made, but that's why we practice. I always temper myself until we get the pads on. We're in spiders right now, so that to me it's valuable reps we're getting, but still it's until you get the pads on is when kind of the rubber hits the road and you really can make those hard decisions.
All right, well, Chris, we appreciate your time, sir.
Awesome.
We'll
Thank
y'all.
y'all.
Get back to your
Appreciate
GM
it, man.
duties.
Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all having me on.
All right, thank you, sir.
How long is